Hi everyone, Drecky here, and today we're unboxing the Furibee F60 4K camera. This action cam cost a whopping $25 on GearBest, so I've set my expectations accordingly. And well, to start, look at the size of this box. It is tiny. This is one of the smallest boxes I've ever had from an action cam, so I'm not expecting much in the way of accessories. That's probably how they got their price so low. Anyways, let's open it up and let's see what's inside and see if it's worth your 25 bucks. Alright, opening the lid here, and well, there you have it. There's what it is. Look at that packaging. There isn't even any foam protecting the camera, and look at the accessories. There's almost nothing here. There's just a skeleton mount, which I'm kind of surprised they included. The camera itself, which is just hanging there with no foam or anything to protect it during shipping. There is a tripod adapter and the only thumb screw included in the package, which I guess is for a selfie stick. And finally a USB cable. And that's it. Well, I guess there's also the user manual, that doesn't count though. This has got to be the most minimal accessory package I've ever unboxed. They don't even include any sticky mounts for the camera, which I thought were kind of necessary since they've came with every camera I've ever used before. Well, I guess that means you're definitely going to have to buy an accessory package if you want to use this camera on anything other than a selfie stick or a tripod. Taking a closer look at the camera itself, everything seems to be about normal with the waterproof case. There's a small note on the back. Please double check that the protective back door is firmly closed when underwater. The user shall bear the damage caused by improper use. So if you cause any damage, you are at fault. Let's just peel that off there. On the bottom, one of the screw threads where the mount adapter would go on is a little bit bent to the side though. Just a little bit. Otherwise, the waterproof case looks pretty normal though. The quality of it looks average, and it has that extra latch that some cases are missing. So let's just open it up and take a look at the camera itself. Right away, I noticed that this is one of the lightest cameras I've ever held. There's almost no weight to it, and with its battery, it is about the same weight as other cameras without the battery. The build quality of the camera itself seems average to below average, but that can be expected for this price range. I noticed that there's a small gap in the frame between the front panel and the camera body itself. This should sit flush. Otherwise, I have no complaints about the build quality at this price. It feels about the same cheapness as other plastic cameras I've tested, and the buttons do have a nice click to them. Let's just turn this thing on and see if there's any battery in it. The user interface of the camera appears to be normal Allwinner V3. Funny enough, this camera starts you at 4K 30 and 16 megapixels when it would be better off starting you at 1080p 30 or 2K, because those settings I believe are going to have better image quality, just judging by the fact that this is known to be a fake 4K camera. The user interface is otherwise standard for an Allwinner V3 camera, with menus broken into photo quality, video quality, and camera settings. For 25 bucks, I'm surprised it turns on at all. Well, let's take it outside and see what the video quality is like. So the first thing I did with the camera before I even set up the date on it was I took it outside to do some resolution tests. Compare the 1080p to the 2K to the 4K, that sort of thing, and well, needless to say, my expectations were pretty low because this is a $25 camera. Anyways, I started off with 1080p 60 because that's the best resolution in most other cheap cameras, and needless to say, it's not that great. The 1080p 60 looks like somebody has taken 720p video and upscaled it to 1080p. There's a lot less detail than other cameras' 1080p, and everything looks a little bit crunchy and strange overall. The color and tonality of the video is a little bit wonky too. I find that it's a little on the high contrast side as well as a little bit oversaturated. But like I said, I was doing resolution tests, so that meant I tried some of the other resolutions as well. In 1080p 30 and 2K 30, the video is actually acceptable. This is one of the first Allwinner V3 and IMX cameras where I can actually say that the video is passable. You know, it's not going to be as good as a $100 camera or even some $50 cameras, but for 25 bucks, I'm surprised this thing even turned on, to say the least. Sure, even in these formats, the video is still a little bit crunchy, a little bit too saturated, a little bit too contrasty, but really, for the most part, if you're the kind of person who's buying a $25 camera, you're probably not going to care about that. The other thing I checked right away with the camera was the still photos. I've had several cameras based on this IMX179 and Allwinner V3 platform, and consistently the still photos are pretty bad, but funny enough, this one actually does a little bit better still photos than the other cameras. It's not as good as a real 12 megapixel camera, but it's actually better than some of the cheap cameras that I've tested with the 4 megapixel camera that's being upscaled to 12. I'll have to leave a final verdict for the full review video since this is only a preliminary test, but from what I can see, 2K 30 and 1080p 30 are not half bad. 1080p 60 probably best avoided. And of course, the 4K is too low of a frame rate to be real 4K. The funny thing is though, I've tested several cameras based on the Allwinner V3 and IMX179 platform. A lot of these cameras are for sale on Amazon for around $80 to $150. Many of those Amazon cameras are sold under generic brand names that don't have firmware updates or improvements once they're distributed. I've tested at least 3 cameras from Amazon based on the V3 and IMX179, and all of them are as bad or worse than this camera for at least 3 times the price. So, you know, for $25 I can forgive some of the problems with this camera, but for $75, hell no, it's not worth it. If you're the kind of person that needs real 4K, the highest resolution, and natural color tones, this is not going to be the camera for you. However, if you don't care so much about video quality and you just want something cheap to toss around, you are this device's target market. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.